Hey guys, welcome back once again in Linux for Hackers. Do you know whenever you start hacking a network or any machine, it is very important to know the IP address of that machine. So, if you are scanning any network, first you should know that on which network you are, what's your IP address, and how you can scan other networks or other person is in the same network or not. So in this session, I will be telling you about the if config command. That's basically to understand what's your IP, what's your information, what's your MAC address. Then slowly we will learn that how to change your IP address if you want to change it. How can you bypass the network access control NAC using the MAC spoofing? You can change your MAC address and you can fool the NAC which is implemented by any of the security provider. Later on, we will be learning the changing DNS and then we will change our hostname file. So these are things we are going to learn in this session. So let's start with the very first thing, which is our if config command. Okay. So if I enter if config, you see this much of info in your network. If you observe carefully, you will see that there are Ethernet 0 at the start, right? So in any of the network there are some interfaces which are terms as the Ethernet 0, Ethernet 1. So these are basically like you can correlate with the LAN port which is available in your machine. You can say the RJ45 connector, right? So they are there. Similarly in this we are having the different ports on your machine. So if you see here, that's Ethernet 0, right? So it means that this is the first interface of your machine. So here the counting starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is the first interface you are having. And if you just see little information, it is having the MTU size of 1500. It is not much relevant in this stage, but if you are a networking guy, you know it how important it is. Okay, so we do not focus this much on it, but the more focus will be on this part. So this inet is basically the IP address of your machine. So currently the machine I'm connected to or the Linux I'm running that is having this IP address 192.168.29.196. Its subnet mask is 255.255.255.0 and broadcast IP is this one. So these are like information regarding IPv4 addresses. The similar information is also available for IPv6. So you see that this name is with inet 6, right? So this is the IPv6 address and this is basically an IPv4. So we don't mention IPv4 because IPv4 is like older technology, and on those days we do not bifurcate between the IPv4 and IPv6. We just call them IP. So that's why we just mention inet here, and for IPv6 we mention as inet 6. Another and very important part is our MAC address. So this is the MAC address of your machine. You see that Ethernet, some of the people are also calling it as a hardware address. And just for information, there are like devices which works on the network access control. It means what they do, they whitelist or block your MAC address based on that what MAC address you are having. So let's suppose you are attempting lot of scan to their network. Okay, you are collecting all the information that what are the IP addresses are available in their network, what are the ports are open where you can enter in their network or launch and scan. You can launch a DDoS attack to that ports. So if you are scanning too much, what they do, this NAC part, they block your MAC address. So if you are trying to connect with this MAC address, they will block it. So what we do, we change this MAC address. We have an option of changing this MAC address. You can, let's suppose currently it is FF, you can now change it to F0. You got new MAC address and now you can bypass this NAC access policy and launch your scan once again or you can run an exploit once again. So this is basically MAC address spoofing. Like you changed your MAC address, you fool the network access control policy, and you enter the network once again. Just to facilitate you better, I have added one more NIC card so that you can see it better and I'm not get disconnected. Okay, so let me show you. If I run the ifconfig command once again, so this time you will observe that I have Ethernet 1 as well, right? So this is like a benefit that I have in the VMware, that I can add the Ethernet card as per my requirement, right? So if you observe it here, I have this time Ethernet 1 as well, and its IP address is 192.168.170.129, and here it was 192.168.29.196 where I'm connected to. So I will not change this IP so that I do not get interrupted in between. Rather than I will be changing this one and show you how to do it. Okay, so let me clear this and focus on the config part. So if you want to change the IP address, you have to write this same command if config. Okay. After that one, you have to write that on which interface you want to change the IP address. So I want to change the IP address of my Ethernet 1, not on Ethernet 0, because I will get disconnected. Okay. And after that one, I have to give the IP address. So 192.168 dot 17 dot, let's suppose I write it as 130. Currently it is 129, but I will write it as 130. So if I want to change the net mask, so I have to give the same command as net mask 255.255.255.0. But if you don't see the changes, I can make it to 128, so that at least you can observe the change. Here it is 255.255.0. If you want to change the broadcast address here, you can add after this one like a broadcast. Okay, here you can give the tab as well, in the previous as well. Here also you can give the tab as per your convenient if you don't remember the command. But if you don't want to give the broadcast IP address, you don't want to change it, you can stop it here, just hit enter, and here everything will be changed. You see that currently it is giving me error as an operation not permitted. So as a user, this time I'm not able to uh, change the IP address. So I need more privileges. Okay, so usually this command is run with the sudo. Okay, so if I give the same command using the sudo, okay, so this is basically like more privileges user, or we can say the admin, a type of root user we can say. Okay, so that having the root privileges. So if I hit enter now it is just asking the password, that what is the password of that user. If I get entering the password, you see that I'm coming on the same prompt where I was before, right? So it means that it is not giving the error. Whenever in the Linux you're not getting the error, it means that your task has been executed. We can confirm that by running just if config command, and you see that my IP address has been changed 192.168.17.30, which was earlier as 129. My net mask has been changed to .128. I have not done anything on the broadcast address, so it is same. There is a no change in that. So that's how we change the IP address according to our requirement, whatever we want. If you want to change the net address of the loopback address, we can you give the same command here on like lo, or basically the loopback. Okay, so you will change the IP address of that one. Another thing is MAC spoofing, where you can change the MAC address. So this time we are going to change the MAC address of this Ethernet 1 interface. Okay, so this MAC address of this Ethernet 1 is this one, 000C29D6D509, and we will try to change it. So but before changing it, you have to shut that interface down. If you remember that whenever we are changing the IP address, we cannot, in fact, we can change the IP address even we don't shut it down. But in case of changing the MAC address or the hardware address, you can say, we have to shut it down, then only you can change it. So let's shut it down first, then we will change it. Okay, so the command is same like if config, and then we will write like ethernet 1 and down. So that says the command to shut it down, and it says that operation not permitted. No worries, I will execute it with the sudo command with the root privileges. Okay, and here we go, it's done. All right, so this time I'm going to change the MAC address to if config, and this is the syntax to change it. If config ethernet 1, that on which interface basically you want to change the MAC address, and then you write it as hardware ethernet, and then you give the value. So whenever you are giving the value, just make sure that you are following this thing, because the MAC address is 64-bit format, so you have to make sure that you are in the same format, at least 6 groups you can say after colon. So this is first, second, third, fourth, five, six. So I'm just copying the same thing but just changing little bit. So in the last I'm just putting ff, remaining all the values are same, and this is hexadecimal. So if you are deciding by yourself, just make sure you are only taking up to f, not ghi. Okay, so the maximum value is only up to f, means 0 to f. You can take any values in the combination of that one. And if I just hit enter up, okay, once again, I always miss this command sudo. So I will just do once again, and here we go. So now my MAC address has been changed. I can confirm it using the same command, if config. Okay, so if I run if config, you will see that my MAC address has been changed. Okay, so currently it is okay. So it is down, so it's not showing. So I will make it that up first. And before that, I don't want to forget this sudo this time. Okay, sudo if config ethernet as up, and here we go. We can check the command now, and this time my MAC address has been changed to ff, which was earlier something like 00, right? 09. This was the MAC address before, and now if I scroll it down, right? So if I scroll it down slowly, you will see that the MAC address has been ff at the end. So that's how we change the MAC address of our device, or in fact our NIC card, and we can latch to the network wherever your MAC address has been blocked. So this is just an amazing. Now I tell you how you can change the DNS address. So you see that in all these things, you don't see the DNS address or what is configured on your device, right? So if you want to check the DNS, so that's basically on the resolve.config file, and that you have to find out that where it is. So that's basically like inside the etc folder or directory. So let's navigate to there first, then only you can find it. So if I go to cd dot dot, you see that currently I'm on the root folder. Okay, on the top, and here you see the etc. So I can do cd etc, and I'm inside that one. Even if I do ls-l, you will see that resolve.conf command file will be here. So r starts here, and this is the file which contains the value for the DNS server, that where my request will be going and it will be resolved. So if I want to see that file, I will just write this cat resolve.cnf, and you see that what is the entry there. So it is like generated by this network or something. Okay, but what if you are not okay with this name server and you want to change it? So if you want to change this name server, then how basically you do it? So you have two options. Either you can modify using the cat command, or you can also use any external editor to change that one. Okay, if I use the vim editor here, so I run the command as sudo vim. Okay, so vim is basically a file editor. So if I just open the file using the vim editor, the very first at the bottom you see the file name resolve.cnf, how many lines it is having, 5 lines, and what is the size of that file. Okay, and now I can navigate the file here. Like the if I am here at the bottom, I put the left arrow and keep navigating. Put up arrow, put right arrow, left arrow. So that's how I can navigate that where I want to write it. So if I want to write below this name server, I can press O. As I enter O, the cursor goes to the next line, and now I can enter the new name server as 8.8.8.8. That's basically a Google DNS. And if I want to save and exit, I have to write colon, like not here, press escape key, and now press colon, just focus on the bottom here. Okay. So colon and W. So if I hit enter now, the file will be saved and I will be exiting from the file. Okay, so the file has been written now, it has been saved. And now if I want to exit it, so I will write escape key once again, colon at the look at the bottom, and then Q and exclamation sign. And I will be exiting from the file. If I want to view the file once again, you can see that the entry has been added with the name server 8.8.8.8. So that's how basically we modify the DNS server. Another thing we are having, that is the host file entry. So it's like the self resolver. So this is like you are sending the DNS resolver to this server, like this 8.8.8 will be resolving your host, that what is the domain to IP address translation. But the same thing we are also having on the your Linux. Like if you want to uh, make your device as a resolver, then we are having a host file there, right? So if I go to the host file here, somewhere it will be efgh host. Okay, so you see that this is a file as a host. So if I go to cat and host. Okay, so you see that these are the entry. So this is basically a local host currently we are having. Okay, and one more file we are having, this one with the name of Kali. So this local host is very visible, like whenever you are running an exam server or something, you will observe that these local host entries are coming. But if you just want to make or add any other entry, that let's suppose I want to make an entry for my website for the you can say the fresh developer. So then how can I do it and how it will be solving to that one? So same, I will use this vim editor, sudo vim host. Okay, so here the same entry we are having, press O. I'm in the next line. Okay, and in the next line I will just first I will give the IP. So I'm just giving a private IP as of now, 192. You need to press O. 192.168 dot, let's suppose I'm giving as uh 15.15, and that's my IP. Okay, so after that one I give tab, and now my domain name is freshdeveloper.online. Okay, so that's my domain. So the domain translation will be happening if I will be hitting freshdeveloper.online, my machine will be going to this IP address. That's how this is like the self entry we are having. If you change this value on your local machine, you will not be able to access the fresh developer.online, because your machine will be resolving to this IP address and your traffic will not be going to the public one. So just don't do on your Windows machine. Otherwise, you will never be accessing this with before removing this one. Okay. All right, guys. So this was it on this session till now. See you soon in the next session, where I will be covering upcoming topics, that how to manipulate and add the software. So like if you want to add or install any software, then how can you do in the Linux? All right, guys, see you soon in the next session. Till that, bye bye.